Hello, cat. You do not belong outside. You stay in the house. Ollie, outside? That is Ned. He is the cat. And I clearly need to do all the laundry. Ollie, yeah, let's go, buddy. This is September in Sweden. And I guess this counts as a fall garden tour now, since this is the weather. I think this is officially fall garden. I don't know that I've done enough transplants to make it feel like a fall garden, but when this is your weather, it's no longer summer. So yeah, the back garden. Our Brussels sprouts are definitely starting to get harvestable, and they're starting to open. So we definitely have some Brussels sprouts that we should be able to eat this weekend. We had a light frost yesterday morning, so some of these are definitely not as happy and potentially damaged. And we're gonna have to start pulling these plants out. But my leeks that I put back here, well, that's yellow dock coming up from nowhere. My leeks and my yellow onions, they are doing fine. They're coming up, and then I'm just trying to keep these squash going as long as I can. But yeah, so our first frost was not supposed to be until November 1st, but I woke up to zeros. Our corn is making little ears, which is hilarious. This should not be happening. And there's a random volunteer pea here. Just a random volunteer pea plant. My garlic that I planted a couple weeks ago, it's all coming up, so we will definitely have garlic. I don't know what you are. You're just a rock. That's fine. But yeah, the garlic that I transplanted, some of it's recovering, other isn't doing well. And then I put in new ones a little over a week ago. We've got weeds and stuff, but it doesn't matter. But we also have random volunteer peas in here. So I'm not going to pretend to know what is going on. Chickens want their breakfast. This potato is dying. That one is dying. That makes sense. We had a frost yesterday. So I'm going to pull these up today. I'm going to have to harvest these potatoes. In preparation for what I was afraid would be a frost. It was only supposed to get down to 2, but I thought we might hit 0 because things are weird. I pulled the big cherry tomatoes. I pulled all my tomatoes that were green, and I have a big basket of them in the house. And then the ones that were small I left on to keep growing. So they're doing okay. We'll see if they rot. If they don't, we'll let them mature. But yeah, weird random frost. Unexpected. We still have blackberries coming. So lots of fruit in the garden that needs to get harvested. And those are beautiful. The frost was not hard enough to damage the plants, but anything that's super tender, I was worried about, like the tomatoes. These onions are doing great. Those 2 are flowering. We have all these bulbs that I'm going to need to harvest because they've fallen down, died back, and they're ready to be pulled out, and we can use them for cooking. I wouldn't store them because these were onions from the grocery store that started to sprout, and then I just planted them out. But we can use those for fresh eating. My one little pear that is definitely getting harassed by things. But yeah, my one little pear. More Brussels sprouts, nasturtiums. These ones are the ones that I'm very excited about. Like, those guys look awesome, and that's who I'm going to harvest from for dinner tonight, probably. This cabbage has seen better days. I need to take him out. He's just, yeah. These are all chicken snacks. Yeah, his root system was not great. This butternut squash, I do not think will ever make me a butternut. It was just stunted and shadowed out by the cabbages. And this cabbage that we harvested is making baby cabbages, and they're awesome. All these leaves are edible. This will probably be really nice and sweet because it did get that light frost. I expected this to happen. So these are my broccolis that I planted in the shade of these giant Brussels sprouts because I've never grown them before. And these ones looked like they were about to bolt, and so they are. So we now have broccoli flowers, which are also edible and super tasty. And then these guys I can pull. But yeah, you can harvest the flowers. You can eat these at any stage. The brassicas are really awesome because you can eat the leaves, you can eat the stems, you can eat the flowers. And then some of them you can even eat the fruits. The seeds are tasty, right? Like we make mustard seeds out of brassica seeds, and radish sprouts are really good too. So if you haven't had the radish pods, I'm just getting snacks for chickens because I think you can hear that they're mad. And you should prune off the bottoms of your Brussels so that your sprouts can get bigger. So that is pretty awesome. This is my first year growing sprouts, and hello, cabbage moth. Hi. Yeah, that's just a caterpillar. I would also like him to go to the chickens, but I don't have enough hands, so I'm going to pause so that I can get rid of this caterpillar from decimating my Brussels sprouts. You know, it was a light frost and not a hard frost, is that the caterpillars are still very much alive. Carrots and parsnips and some volunteer chard and a volunteer pea. That weird volunteer melon is not gonna survive. My basil got attacked by the frost, which sucks because I was supposed to have another month before we got that. So you can see my basil is damaged and pissed off, which sucks. It's fine. I'm gonna start growing some in the house, I bought a greenhouse for seed starting, but I'm also gonna plant some basil because I would like to have some basil. I have way too many tomatoes right now. The peas are doing good. Beans it's gonna be stunted. Another volunteer potato coming up in this box for the second time. That is a big clump of grass that I need to get rid of. I really need to weed this box, but I just haven't had it in me to do so. It's okay. You cannot see what's happening in here because it's too misty. But these are my brassicas tents for Asian cabbages and kohlrabi and hopefully Swedes. I keep planting Swedes and they keep failing me, but that's okay. And then this one has some cabbages and radishes and beets and just protecting them from the birds and from the moths. So yeah. And then little tomato plants. This is a pumpkin that it was started way late, and it was a thinned seedling, and it survived, so I just planted it, but it's not going to make food, so I'm going to have to pull him soon. And there's some little kale in the shadow of that, so pulling that squash will give that kale more nutrition and space, and it'll be fine. And you probably need to come through and fertilize these. And then we've got beans going, and more Brussels sprouts and cabbages. And I'm gonna go give snacks to the chickens. And hopefully not get in a fight with the dogs about where they're supposed to be, because they keep breaking into the wrong yards. But, yeah. It's a bit crazy, but it's good, and it needs to happen. Yeah, hey guys. Let's go get you some food. We were having trouble with the babies escaping, so we just put some netting to protect them. We're going to build a new coop next month, so October was our plan. And we have eggs that should hatch next week. But this is the one surviving Swedish flower hen of the 3 that hatched from the first batch. She is absolutely beautiful, and she is growing so fast. She's not even like a month old yet. Or no, she is. She's just a little over a month. She hatched on the 18th of August. So, yeah. Month-old Swedish flower hen. It's almost the same size as Silky Mom, which is kind of awesome. Hi. Yeah, and I really hope you're a hen. I'm pretty sure you're a hen and not a rooster, which is awesome because you're beautiful. I really like her. She's great. Yeah. This is my butternut squash. that is making butternut squash, and I'm just hoping that these have time to size up before we get a real frost that kills this plant off. But this guy did fine. This little microclimate here has worked out, and like this bed is heated. It has chicken compost in the bottom, so it's a hot bed. So that helps prolong your seasons. It's protecting the root structure. It keeps the plant alive, so it's warmed from underneath, which is why this is doing okay. And the ones back there that are not, they don't have chicken manure on the base. They don't have the same structure. It's the exact same reason why the hugel bed out here is doing better than the no-dig, because the hugel has the chicken manure layer. It also helped with the weed suppressant. So like the weeds in this bed are not nearly as bad. Like we've got some grass and bindweed on the corners, which that makes sense. Oh, that might be a blueberry that I'm just killing. But we have all these strawberries coming through, the runners. The high nitrogen has been really good for all the leafy greens and supporting the plants. So like how big and bushy this tomato is, and it's going up and over the fence. How big and bushy this nasturtium is, and I pulled a bunch of this out and fed it to the chickens the other day, but this guy is just enormous because of the nitrogen versus the little ones in here, right? But if you can see, the cardboard did nothing for the ground elder. It's just popping up everywhere. So this is becoming a bed of ground elder, which is edible. You don't want to eat too much of it. Once it flowers, it can become soporific. You can have some problems with it, but it is a parsley replacement. Apparently some chefs here will pay a lot of money for it. Another caterpillar. But yeah, so like it is edible, and I have calendula and nasturtiums and ground elder, and then a couple of brassicas, and we still have a squash out here. But this bed is not a hot bed. So this one got started better, but this one is lasting longer. This one had some fry on it initially because it just wasn't deep enough. And so I think initially that transplant shock, the roots touched the hot compost and it didn't like it. But since then, like, there's no comparison. How much better the hot compost worked as a weed suppressant on there, because we didn't put really anything down. We did put this weed cloth, I forgot. We put weed fabric in the hot compost, and then that one we did the cardboard and just finished soil, but it's just not as good. But that one did give us pumpkins, so all the pumpkins we've gotten from these two beds have come from that one, but this one has given us a ton of tomatoes and greens and broccoli, and yeah, and so we're just gonna keep snapping off the broccoli florets. And I prefer these because the leaves are awesome. You get like a free kale chip with your broccoli when you roast them, and I just throw them in the oven with some salt and this mixture of butter and canola oil. You just have it in a squeeze bottle, and I throw them under the broiler for like less than 5 minutes. The leaves start to turn brown and they get really crispy, and this is my favorite veggie in the garden because I just really love broccoli. But you don't buy this at the store. And if you don't ever get a central head, which we didn't get a central head on any of these, we've only been eating the shoots. People will pull their plants after they get the shoot, the central head, and they don't ever wait for the shoots. And like, we've been eating the shoots for 2 months now, and like, this is just awesome and way better and more food. And it's about making food, not about like getting the perfect head of cabbage, right? Like, we've got a little cabbage coming here, and it has a friend, right? Like, and so this was, oh god, it has 2 friends, but this just split, right? Like, this has 3 coming off, and we've got a little guy here and potentially a little guy there, but I'll probably come through just because it's getting damaged and we've got slugs and stuff, and just pull this off. Oh, this little guy that's shaded out, yeah, he'll go to the chickens, and I'll have broccoli for breakfast. So yeah, and our sunflower has a baby. It had another one, but my son wanted it the other day. He wanted the big flower, so I let him have it because why not? And then the large actual flower from this volunteer, that's in the house and that's curing so that we can eat it and plant it and sprout it and do whatever feels good for our hearts, because we need to do what makes us happy sometimes. But yeah, these calendula are still doing fine. I'm waiting for this one to finish so I can save the seed, because I think this very like light pinky variegated is beautiful. And then I'm not going to save the seed on any of my nasturtiums. They have taken over everything. They just have. I keep pulling them and feeding them to the chickens. But I know that there will be volunteers all over because of the way that they're growing. There will just be volunteers growing in the cracks, and we will have nasturtiums forever now, which is kind of awesome, and I am not mad about this prospect. But yeah, these broccoli leaves are beautiful and make a very good kale substitute. And I find them to be sweeter a lot of the times than the kale that you actually grow, even though I do have a ridiculous amount of kale that I'm actually growing. We have scarlet kale and red Russian, and I keep trying to grow the dinosaur Toscana Nero, but it's not doing great. So it's okay, but it's not doing great. Yeah, teeny broccolis. All right, what else is going on here? Pumpkin on the ledge. Some more tomatoes. Nasturtiums hidden in the tomatoes. Oh, still getting raspberries, so that's good. Right, still getting raspberries. That's breakfast. Yeah. Yellow beets on top of the strawberry baskets. Those are coming up. Those are making beets. I probably need to cut that back, but it's fine. The salsify's okay. This pumpkin's okay. That I planted some beets on top to replace. This one's actually making a pumpkin. So this is the guy that was planted on July 4th, just direct seeded. And we have one. Again, I don't know that it's going to make it past the frost. This little black heat sink and the black tub helped protect this so it didn't die. Right? So like all these little accidental tricks. My potatoes are getting ready for a harvest, which, yeah, that's starting to die back. So we might be able to do them maybe next weekend. We should be okay. We're not expecting another light frost. It's supposed to be like 75 today. So, yeah. And then another just high condensation, which you probably cannot see. But this is my salad bed, and then salad got decimated by stuff. So I put some beets in there. I transplanted some dinosaur kale in here, and I think it had caterpillars in it. And then the caterpillars went and took out... Tractor! Took out other cabbage transplants that I had in here. So I'm just like hoping, you know, it's fine. I'm hoping that I'll be able to actually salvage this, but I think there's some weirdness in there, which you probably can't see because it's just, the mesh is good to keep the caterpillars out. Good to keep the cabbage whites out, but not great for showing you what's actually happening in there when it's all fogged up like this. And then this is my perennial kale and the babies from it, which we had some of these for breakfast yesterday with some carrots, which super good. But yeah, we've not had a good bean year, but it has been an awesome nasturtium year. Yeah, it's been a weird year. And gonna open up the greenhouse, which toddlers made it weird, so you know, toddlers always make it weird. And just, yeah, anything that's not undercover is just like that. It's just completely decimated by caterpillars. So anywhere I have brassicas, I'm hand picking the damage. I'm trying to keep on top of it. So like on these guys where I don't have them covered, I sprayed with BT. I'm just trying to make sure we don't have caterpillars, which we definitely do, because of course we do. And then just letting things, oh, hello spider. Just letting things kind of evolve as much as possible. And recover. And just hoping that the recovery happens. This eggplant is not doing terribly great because it's so close to the open window. I need to fix the greenhouse. It's been broken for many years. But yeah, and just kohlrabi growing up here, which there's way too many, and this is a mistake, but it's fine. I've got a couple beets on the side, more kohlrabi down here, more beets. The Nero Toscano, which it just keeps getting attacked by cabbage white. Some basil down there, some mint, and then I'm just turning this guy every day, watering and then turning. More tomatoes. I need to come through and prune dirt. For starts, that's a purple sprouting broccoli that I put in. My daughter transplanted some of the kohlrabi from here into here, and you can tell that they're doing much better when they have more soil and more space. So, and a deeper root system. So these will actually probably give us food, where those will just harvest the baby leaves, which again, kohlrabi leaves, very delicious. I'm super into them. Yeah, and then we just have more tomatoes going in here. And then this is a volunteer tomato from last year's tomatoes that just popped up and started coming late. And then I took some suckers when I pruned tomatoes and popped them in here a couple days ago. So yeah, just starts that I need to start getting out. These are purple pea shoots that... Hi, dog. You need to get out of here. This is not where you're supposed to be. But yeah, it's a mess. It's a good mess, but it's a mess. And then I started planting peas around my tomatoes. So they're starting to come up. And then my plan was to use the tomato structure, so these poles, or the dead tomato branches, for them to climb up. So we'll see. But yeah, we still have little tomatoes coming. And this guy is rotting, so I'm gonna pull him. Well, maybe, or he's just small and... No, I think he's rotting. I think this is a mistake. Yeah, that's rotting. Okay, well, that's rotting, so I'm gonna maybe give that to the chickens. This guy I hand pollinated with a yellow squash blossom, because that was the only male squash blossom I had when it was open. But we can see here, these the bees have taken care of, and we're getting pumpkins on that. And yeah, we're just getting, we'll get actual pumpkins that were pollinated by the bees. But yeah, just, that's a mess. Yeah, more scarlet kale. Yeah, I'm trying to not be overwhelmed, but I've got like weird things happening and some disease and stuff for next year. But we do have a melon that I hand pollinated, and that's coming. And we have loofah. These are loofah, which they're starting to set female blossoms. And we have okra blossoms. So now I'm just waiting to see if they actually open and make okra. And then at the base of these okra, we've got some volunteer beets. So if nothing else, I'll get beets from this bucket. Yeah, and then just more tomato suckers, making more tomatoes, and then just keeping things in the greenhouse, trying to prolong the season. I think this is a cauliflower, maybe, might be a broccoli. I think it's a cauliflower though, the way that it's growing. So I have 2 cauliflower that have survived. Everything else had root rot or got decimated by caterpillars. This is water spinach, which is just sillily growing down there with my ginger. But they're just growing in the shade, and we'll see. I don't anticipate getting a good harvest off of them, but we'll see. And then I planted some cucumber seeds, hoping that we would be able to get a cucumber harvest. But they're growing up, and then my plan was to, as the tomatoes transition out, replace with beans and cucumbers, or peas and cucumbers. So those are coming up. These are coming up. I planted some more in here, but I don't think they're coming. I'm just gonna pull that little pepper plant because that was silly. But yeah, this is like the one sad pea that came up in this bucket. So I think I need to keep this one a little bit more moist, or maybe try to get some more sun in there, or put some transplants in. It's fine. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to get eggplants off of these guys, but we are getting new blossoms, so maybe. And same thing, this is basil with a pepper plant, but that's not doing nothing, so that's gonna go away. These peppers were not delicious. They had no flavor at all, so I'm waiting for them to fully ripen and hoping that once they're fully ripe, they will be awesome. These were from the peppers that I saved from the grocery store. This pepper, super flavorful. The green ones are awesome. This is the first one that's turning red and allowing to ripen. But this was a great flavored plant, and that's from a seed packet from the store. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that, is the ones that I saved, the flavor sucks on these guys. So but they're very, like, it's a big plant, it's prolific, it's healthy, right? Same thing here. So I'm just waiting to get some actual, like, fully ripened peppers to see if they're actually tasty. But yeah, mistakes and experiments and getting screwed by weather. We had a late frost in the middle of May and an early frost in the middle of September. This year has been banana pants, and the pest pressure has been very, very real, and the frost has been very, very real, but we are still getting food, and as long as we keep trying, we will get something, and hopefully we'll have food under here when we can actually harvest it. Hello, tractor. So yeah, welcome to the farm. Thanks for watching.